So I was standing down on the corner of 14th and Independence Avenue, all dressed up in my blues. And I never got so many hate stares in my life from white servicemen who looked at me as well and said, who does he think he is?
The Navy resists taking blacks, except as stewards. The Marine Corps remains all white. In 1942, the need for manpower cracks the Navy's and Marine Corps' color line.
The Secretary of the Navy said that black folks couldn't handle the modern arms of warfare that they had in the Marine Corps, and that was a challenge to me, and that's why I went in.
In June 1942, the U.S. Marine Corps enlists blacks. From across the country, African-American recruits arrive at Munford Point for boot camp. For many of them, Mumford Point, like other southern bases, is a rude awakening.
How in the world did I ever get into something like this? Our receptionist said, you will say yes, sir, no, sir, and you will not move until you are told to do so. Do you understand, boy?
I'd heard what happened to black people or colored people, as we're called it, south of the Mason-Dixie line, but I had no personal real experience, and my parents, who were Southerners, basically never talked about it.
Colonel Samuel A. Woods, Munford Point's commanding officer, is sympathetic to the challenges faced by his recruits.
Colonel Wood, who, as you know, was a graduate of the Citadel, was, in my opinion, the fairest white man I've ever met or seen. Almost weekly, he would have us write a letter to Washington in which he was complaining about the way we were treated as human beings in North Carolina.
We did all the things that all Marines do: close order drill, find a rifle range, hand-to-hand combat, using maps, survival training, anything that any other Marine got.
In the Navy, the number of black enlistees approaches 100,000, and the Navy establishes its first training program for black naval officers.
I didn't know why I was going to be sent there, and didn't actually find out why, because we had sealed orders, until we got there and met 15 other young black men to discover that we were the guinea pigs to either prove or disprove the myth that blacks were not capable of serving as officers in the United States Navy.
They later became known as the Golden 13. The Navy trains the black cadets within a segregated area at Great Lakes Training Station in Illinois.
We tried to study together, work together. Well, certainly we're trying to be better than the next guy, and I think everybody was very competitive. It was very cooperative and yet competitive. By doing that, I think we raised our own level of accomplishment.
Black sailors who were in training came there with a purpose, and that purpose was to make sure that people knew that they could sail, that they were qualified to be sailors. The majority of them, I would say 95% of those guys, would have been able to have sailed any place.
The Navy's USS Mason and the PC-1264, with their predominantly African-American crews, escort and protect vessels during the war years. Pioneering African-American officers and enlisted men also serve in the Coast Guard and Merchant Marine, while protecting our shores and delivering men and material of war to battlefields around the world.